I'm here. How's everyone doing?
Well,
Fine.
we hear you, we can't see you.
Yeah, I'm trying to work on that. I have my camera
There you
down on my
are.
phone.
There you are.
Yeah, we see you now.
Okay, I think Chairman, that's all the folks that's gonna call in. I'm just gonna establish a forum. Mr. Anderson,
Here.
Mr. Shirkers,
Here.
Christopher Smith,
Here.
Jerry LeBeau,
Here.
Dallas Smith,
Here.
Rhonda Thomas. Okay, you have a chairman.
We have a quorum.
Chairman. First thing I want to say, I certainly want to appreciate you guys taking the time out on this holiday, to sit down and discuss the matter before us today.
Lord, are you called in on the phone and on your
We get a
computer?
lot of feedback.
The reason for the
Mr.
meeting
Baptiste.
is because tomorrow,
Ms. Baptiste.
11 o'clock,
Mr. Baptiste.
we'll have a council meeting, and on their agenda is discussion on the
Mr. Baptiste.
future use of the sales tax
Mr. Baptiste.
for the next, really for the next 12 months.
Mr. Baptiste.
Myself and Guy and George, we participated on a conference call with State Representative Desiree and also the Controller's Office.
Boyd, hey, Boyd.
Mr. Baptiste.
The city was also involved. Can you hear me, Guy?
Hey, you must be called in on your phone and on your computer.
You
Getting a lot
gotta
of
turn one
feedback
of them
from you.
off.
Well,
Mute your computer or something.
Mr.
I don't
Baptiste, do you
know.
have your cell phone on too?
what can I do?
Hang your phone up.
My phone.
Hold on,
Yeah,
what
hang
else
your phone
Then
up.
I want to have a voice.
Yeah, I can hear you through the computer.
No, you can't.
Okay, I'm gonna hang up the phone.
We can't hear through the computer? But what's
I
the
don't think
feedback?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Do you have your cell phone on too?
No,
Just the work phone?
just the work phone.
And you say those speakers that's on your desk is off, right?
It's all. What about now?
A little better.
Is this better or worse?
About the same.
Huh?
You're still having that echo. We can't understand you. It's still having that echo.
What about on the work phone if you keep turning it down? Like lower the volume on the work phone.
Okay. I got the work phone all the way down, George, and I'm speaking on the speakers now.
It's a little better.
What about now?
Better.
No. Turn the speaker off again and just turn the work phone down. Let's see what happens.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's better.
Y'all can?
Yes.
I'm muted.
Okay. The reason for the meeting, like I was saying, is because the council have a council meeting tomorrow, and on the council agenda is discussion of the sales tax for the next coming year. Because of the health disaster, the virus. Let's recall that the council, the May election was canceled until November, and on the ballot, this board had voted to put a proposition to fund up to 1/8 of your money to Parks and Recreation. So once you put something on the ballot, it takes the controller 90 days to make it active. If the election was in May, Park and Recreation would not get there, be able to get funded until October 1. But now that the election is in November, Parks and Recreation will not be able to get funded until April. But so it put us in a dilemma, because right now we have a street and maintenance tax. Guy, help me out when I go wrong. That expires September 30th. If it expires September 30th, then let me go back, guys.
Okay.
The street
Let me help a little
is
bit.
an actual
I
sales
think it may
tax.
be helpful
We
if
have
we go
reduced
back a little
our
farther
sales
since there's
tax
some,
to 3/8, and we have allocated 1/8 of our sales tax to street and maintenance. So if street and maintenance go away in September, that 1/8 go away also. So that
Yeah.
means the city no longer get 1.5%, they get 1 3/8% of the sales tax. So myself and Guy and George spent some time with the state controller, and what the state controller said, they could waiver, they could extend the street and maintenance tax for 3 months. That's the longest. So instead of expiring in September, it will go through December, so that the
Yep.
city will not lose that 1/8. Okay.
Yep. Floyd, hey Floyd,
Go ahead, Guy.
let me go ahead and just kind of back up because some of the members weren't on the board in 2016. Let me walk this back real quick. In 2016, the city came to the EDC and said, would you all be willing to let us take 1/8 of your 1/2 and use it for street and road maintenance? Recall that is for street and road maintenance. It's not new construction. And the law said, which was put in effect by the legislature, that you could do that for 4 years. And if you wanted to extend it before the 4th year started, and I'm talking about the tax years, like Floyd's saying, October 1 to September 30th. So before the fiscal year that was last year, October 1, 2019, the city had to extend this for 4 more years. They did not, which meant everything being equal, that street and road maintenance tax would have run out September 30th, 2020. That would have been the full 4 years. And they said, no, we don't want to extend it for 4 more years. Okay, what all of us forgot, and it's sorry to say this, but when they took that 1/8 tax, it went away. It's not like one of these when we move it from 4A to 4B for housing, for other things that we've done over all the years. It actually went away and you had to reauthorize that tax. Well, guess what? You know, the city did not reauthorize it in November, but we get to where we are now. There was not an election in May. So where we are right now is that there's a ballot proposition on for Parks and Recreation to take 1/8 of a half, and the street and road maintenance runs out in September, at the end of the fiscal year. That was a 1/8. So if we don't do anything else at October 1 of this year, the EDC will be getting 1/2 of the amount that it has been getting in the past. Literally 1/2.
Now, October 1, we'll get 3/8.
No, well,
It's in
no.
April.
You know, well, no, you'll only get 3/8. You'll get 3/8 until the ballot proposition. Remember, the ballot proposition is still on for November, right?
Right.
Correct. So really what we're talking about now is how do we fix a problem that came about because of the COVID-19. And what Floyd was saying is that the comptroller is willing to let the city continue to collect the street and road maintenance tax from October 1 to December 31 without doing anything, even though it makes it longer than the ballot proposition actually would have let it be for. But guess what? All those council members who were elected to 2 or 3 year terms are going to serve another 6 months until the election in November. So for whatever reason, the governor's order will allow them to continue that. So Floyd, talk about now what the city's going to take up tomorrow is the 2 alternatives.
Yeah, and I provided I provided you guys a copy. I provided you guys a copy of the first proposal, and I think I later emailed you guys a copy of the city, what they're gonna actually submit to the council. That's on city letterhead, and I think all you guys received one of those. Right. And originally they were going to extend the street maintenance tax. My argument was no, because for 6 months of next year, I would only have 1/4 of our money, and we could not survive with that, with 1/4 of our money. The city went back and they did revise this thing, and their option A will be to put on the ballot to return the 1/8 back to EDC on the November ballot. If the voters agree to that, then April 1, that 1/8 come back to us and we are made whole with our half.
Right.
If the voters does not agree, the city, EDC really lose 1/8 of the taxes. We also have on that ballot, as Guy was saying, park and recreation, which is 1/8 on the ballot. If the voters agree to that, then they have to agree to both of them. Because if they don't, then now you're dealing with 1/4 of your money instead of 3/8 of your money. I'm agreeing with the city option number 1, that we reinstate EDC 1/8 on the November ballot. I'm agreeing that they ask the council to extend the street maintenance for 1/4, and after that 1/4, it goes away. If everything happens, guys, we will be where we are right now. The first quarter of next year, we'll get 3/8. The second quarter, every quarter we will still get our 3/8. The only difference is in the first quarter of next year, the city will lose 1/8 of their sales tax to the voters, to the people.
And the reason is, y'all, because the way the statute reads is that, I'm sorry.
But Guy,
The way the statute reads is that the sales tax that's voted on in an election does not, as Floyd mentioned earlier, does not become effective until the beginning of the second quarter after the election. So a November election means that the sales tax does not become effective until April 1. In a May election, you actually don't get the sales tax collection until the fall of a year. So the real problem I see is the city's losing revenue for a quarter period from January through March of next year, but also every business that's out there is going to have to reprogram their calculation to go and drop their sales tax collection that they've got logged into their computers from the total amount of whatever it is, 2 cents down to 1 7/8 cents or whatever it is. So it's going to be a hassle for some business owners that the city and the EDC are going to have to kind of work a little campaign. But at the end of the day, I'm hopeful that they'll go with option number 1, just like Mr. Baptiste is hoping.
The other option the city had, is to put on the ballot in November to extend street maintenance and then come back in May and vote it to discontinue it. I don't believe we should go to the voters in November and ask them to extend and then come back in May and ask them to discontinue. I think it would confuse the voters, and it would, so my thing, I'm going along with the option number 1, guys. Questions? You guys understand what's going on?
It's
I
confusing,
think
I
the
know,
problem
but
will be, guys,
the real issue is
If the
that
vote-
when they put the ballot
if
proposition back on in
the
November,
voters choose not to
they-
reinstate, then we're gonna have some real financial problems here. Because we will no longer have 3/8 of our money, we will only have 1/4 of our money.
one half of it.
And normally, we operate on an average of $4 million a year budget. Now we're talking about operating under a $2 million year budget with some debt service that comes out of that. So some change is gonna have to happen within our organization.
Such as,
Sir, well, we're gonna have to make some, you neither do no economic development or you reduce staff. That all depends on what the voters say.
Neither one of those. Do you think the voters are going to really understand?
yeah, that's one thing.
I'm afraid that they're not going to understand what this is all about, because this is not sitting here in a meeting explaining this to everybody. Who's going to, or is the city going to vote tomorrow to give them two options?
What the city gonna, what the city staff is proposing is that a new ballot proposition be on the ballot that the 1/8 returned back to us. So that goes on the ballot. And then the voters determine. They also will ask the council to extend the street maintenance to December. That doesn't go on the ballot. That's just, they just make it known to the state controller that they want to extend. Now, in the option 2, they talk about putting renewing street maintenance, putting that on the ballot. I don't agree with that, because I don't think we should go in November and then come back in May, ask them to put something on the ballot, and then May come back and tell them we want to discontinue it.
Well, is anybody at the city pushing for option 2?
I think we're in agreement right now. You know,
Okay.
we're in agreement now.
Mr.
The option
Baptiste,
was reversed prior to Friday afternoon. The option B was that first option. Option A was that second option. Option A was our EDC option. If you look at the deal, that the one that I sent you guys that shows the months where October, November, and December, basically October, November, and December, you're going to get your half cent. You're going to get your 3/8 rather. January, February, and March, the city will only get, we will only get 3/8. Nobody else will get that 8. It will be reduced. And like Guy said, then private sector businesses have to recalculate their sales tax for that 1/4. Then if everything goes fine, then you're back to your 1/2%. But it all depends on what the voters say.
Mr. Baptiste, Mr. Schaefer's asked about the citizens. And explain that to the citizens of Port Arthur, because I'm sure they don't understand exactly what the option that you wanting. Who explained that to the citizens of Port Arthur?
I think it's going to be difficult because, Guy, the law says we could go inform, but we cannot promote.
Yeah, we cannot, you can't spend city money or you can't spend EDC money to go out and support, like advertise and say, vote for a ballot proposition. All you can do is put out a fact sheet that gives the facts to the voters. Now this is really a complicated problem, but on the ballot, there's just gonna be 2 things. One is the ballot proposition that was supposed to be on there in May, which was to take and give some money to Parks and Recreation. That's just carried forward because of COVID-19 to November, just like each of the council members' elections has been carried forward to November. There's going to be a second ballot proposition on there that just says, hey, we want to reauthorize this 0.12518 sales tax to the EDC for economic development purposes. And my statement is, we just tell everybody, well, we use that money for street maintenance. And now that was for 4 years and that's done. So now they just want to put the money back. And that's all I think I would say. I wouldn't get into too much about the extension of the 3 months. That's not on the ballot. That's the controller's doing. Nobody's going to know. I think we try to keep this to the simplest explanation possible. And that was 4 years ago, we took 1/8 away from the sales tax and gave it back to the city to do street maintenance. That's over now. And we want to take and put that 1/8 back in economic development.
That's it.
That's it. And that's the way I think we want to try to sell it. It's just 1/8 back to the voters and just keep it simple. And so, and in fact, if anything, I kind of even want to separate that ballot proposition from the one about parks and recreation because, you know, right now, that's still on the ballot and we want to say that's for the good of the people, but the street road tax went away, and so we need to put that money back in economic development because there's a lot of good things going on in Port Arthur. Down the road we go. So we think that the board, well, I think probably what you wanted to do was have this discussion and have them give you some sense of to take to the council that your board is also in favor of option A that's going to be presented to council tomorrow, correct?
Yes, sir.
So basically, Mr. President, I think what we're looking for is for someone to make a motion that they've heard the options and they want to support option A that the city is going to consider tomorrow and do that by vote.
So move.
Second.
Mr. President, can you hear us?
Mr. Anderson.
So there's something that we have to vote on here? I thought we were just getting information.
We'll vote. I think actually we're going to vote on it as it was a presentation, but I think if we could send a message that the board had looked at both of those and was had supported by a vote to go with the option A, that would be even more supportive. And I think Mr. Sharp has made a motion. I think Mr. Smith made a second. If you're acceptable to take a vote on that, to approve option A.
Yeah, it's been moved in second that we accept the option A that's been presented and also is being supported by the city, which would be in the best interest of the Port Arthur Economic Development Corporation. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
The only thing I will say is that
Motion carries.
After council meeting tomorrow, we will send an email to you guys telling you guys exactly what council decision was.
Right.
Thank y'all very
So
much.
what time is the council meeting on tomorrow?
It's at 11 o'clock. We'd probably be out of there by, I would hope by 2 o'clock on George.
I hope so.
All right, everybody have a wonderful Memorial Day evening.
Thank y'all very much.
Y'all too.
Thank y'all.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
Have a good evening.
Bye-bye.